Honestly, this chapter went by pretty fast because it was all about Koichi facing off against number 6. At most, you get Soga meeting up with his boys because all of the bomb villains have been disabled because number 6 is focusing exclusively on Koichi. And they let Soga know where Koichi went off to, at least the general direction. But honestly, this chapter continues on with the momentous growth of Koichi and his powers and abilities. Because number 6, despite his speed, despite his strength, is constantly just within a hair's breadth of mixing Koichi with each of his attacks. And I love the whole single page shot of the directional lines of number 6 trying to get Koichi and blow him up, because you just see all these lines of movements all over the place. And even number 6's inner o'clock is just like, we've moved very far away from the hospital, and where he's leading you is pretty obvious. He's trying to get you somewhere public that'll draw in All Might. So it's very obvious that number 6 is being led into a trap, but number 6 is just so intent on getting Koichi that he's obsessing over it. It would be better just to cut his losses and run, because Koichi is trying to protect the hospital, trying to protect Popstep, so he just needs to go after Popstep. Koichi isn't trying to face him head on. It's just that number 6 has been so annoyed by Koichi and his presence, it's become an obsession for him. And I love the analysis that number 6's inner o'clock does of exactly how Koichi is reading number 6's movements, in that he's actually using the sound of number 6's footsteps to read when he needs to shift out of the way. Because just as number 6 goes in for that fatal strike, he does one big stomp and then goes in to leap in for the attack. And Koichi is instinctively listening out for that in order to know when to dodge out of the way. I love that kind of stuff because it just shows how experienced Koichi has become over time. So, number 6 realizes what he has to do is move in a way that's different, that doesn't put him in the air, that makes it so that when he strikes, it's quick, fast, and decisive. So he alters his body in a way that is kind of similar to Koichi, that keeps him low to the ground, just stomping through the ground, just sinking his claws and feet into the ground in order to move fast, like some kind of skittering creature or monstrosity. That way he's really digging into the ground to gain more traction, and he isn't getting up in the air where Koichi is easily able to dodge him. Koichi sees this and is just like, it's creepy, and unleashes a volley of his shooty-go blams, but number 6 is easily able to dodge all of it and gets in nice and close instantaneously because Koichi is the one in midair this time around. And whereas it looks like number 6 has Koichi dead to rights, we see that once again Koichi's ability has evolved to whereas he's now able to produce that force field that he generates in order to allow him to slide on the ground. He produces it right at his back and right at the point of impact too. Because as number 6 goes in for 2 strikes, Koichi is able to produce that force field exactly on time in order to predict when the blast is coming to disperse it instantaneously. And while it is interesting that Koichi is now able to do this, the real question that number 6 has on his mind is mostly, how is he able to react to a shot to his blind spot so easily? And that's where the chapter ends. It's really kind of fascinating because Koichi just continues to grow and develop in unpredictable ways. But at the same time, I'm actually really willing to accept that he's able to do that whole force field generation on the rest of his body, because the moment we learned that at one point when he was younger, he was able to actually kind of airwalk in the sky. It's just like, okay, he's using that in order to make almost like air steps. And then he's able to make a force field that allows him to slide on the ground. He's able to propel himself into the air. Why couldn't he just produce it anywhere on his body? Well, close to his body, basically. At what point would that be a limitation? If anything, it's almost like he could produce, with enough training, he could produce a full-bodied kind of force field for the most part. And I really do love that kind of stuff. It's easy to see it as OP for the most part, but honestly, it's the application that makes it fascinating. And it really doesn't keep Koichi completely out of harm's way. Honestly, if he were dealing with multiple opponents, I feel like he'd be sacked. Not to mention, if he was dealing with number 6 head on, he'd be done. But the fact that he's mostly using it in a defensive capacity, that really is what's saving him a lot in this fight. But I really am loving this because it's just like, we could have easily made Koichi capable of all of this from the start, but it's just like, we knew an end goal, the creator knew an end goal for where they wanted Koichi to be in terms of his powers, and then they just reduced it to as low as it could go, and they've been working their way up to this super strong version of Koichi. And honestly, with each chapter, with each growth in power, I'm just like, man, Koichi had to have died at the end of all of this, because how is it that someone so capable hasn't shown up in the main series at this point? Especially now in the current story arc going on in the main My Hero book. Like, no, it's a perfect time for Koichi to show up. But I feel that as Illegals is reaching its finale, once it's done, we may see Koichi in the main book. I'm hoping, because really, Koichi has just really been growing on me in a lot of ways, and I feel like an interaction between him and Deku would be just phenomenal, and it would be an amazing team up to see. But tell me your thoughts and feelings in the comment section below. How do you feel about this new growth to Koichi's powers and abilities? Do you feel that it's way too much, or it's just enough to scratch your itch for Koichi to get stronger and stronger? And do you think that number 6 will figure out a way around this? Because that's been the thing. For every moment that number 6 develops to the abilities of Koichi, Koichi is able to adapt to number 6's adaptation. So it's kind of just become a battle of attrition until one is able to completely outdo the other. But hey, if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notifications. Love all that stuff, love to hear from you, love to know you like these videos. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.